Hi, my name is Siwen. I am a tutor at CAL, and I'm here to spill the tea.
Hello, everyone. So for this episode, I would like to do something a little bit different. Instead of just asking my guests to say hi, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves first. So we have our lovely guest, Siwen, today with us. Yes, and this is the first time that I've actually have a conversation and talk to her. So yeah, Siwen, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So can you please give us a brief introduction of yourself? Like, who are you? Where are you from? What did you study before? Yada, yada.
Yes. Hi, my name is Siwen, or Siwen in English. I am from Canada. So I did a bachelor's of medical sciences, specializing in interdisciplinary medical sciences. Then I did a master's in rehabilitation sciences, specializing in musculoskeletal sciences. So a lot of science.
Yeah, I can hear a lot of big words that I don't understand. So why medical science?
Well, throughout high school, I took a lot of science courses, and I really enjoyed them. And I also was really interested specifically in human biology and understanding how the human body works, diseases, how they develop, as well as how to treat them and prevent them as well. So that's why I wanted to pursue medical sciences going into undergrad. And after undergrad, I was interested in doing research, and I wanted to see what that was like. So that's why I pursued a research master's.
So speaking of research, thanks for giving me a nice segue there. Speaking of research, I would assume that you would have to do a lot of paper writing, like submitting journal articles during your graduate years, I suppose.
It was definitely about writing, yes. I did submit a paper at the end of my master's. It was, but throughout my master's, a lot of the writing was writing for conferences, writing abstracts, posters, as well as, in the end, my thesis, which was a big challenge.
Yeah, I can tell. Then what would you say are some of the, like, say, challenges and mistakes that you faced when you were writing your papers, your thesis, your abstracts, or your reports? You guys have that, right? Like reports, case study reports. Do you guys do that?
For me, in my program specifically, I did not. Yeah. I wouldn't say I had really, I can't think of any mistakes, but I would say a lot of challenges definitely came up. One was learning to write concisely.
Yes.
Because a lot of, for example, abstract submissions, you had word limits.
Yes. And like 200, right? No,
something like that. And a few hundred, and I would be over by maybe like 10 words. And I'm like, no. And you have to cut it. I would spend maybe like half an hour on cutting 10 words sometimes, or even like one word. And so that was the hardest part, is how to express yourself with the least possible or minimal content, but maintain the meaning behind it, the effective, the meaning essentially of what you want to
Exactly.
convey.
Exactly.
That was one. And the next one, I'm trying to think. Definitely simplifying my research to other audience.
Even during, like,
if I'm presenting my, for example, if I'm writing for people not in my field of study. I would forget that what I think is common sense in my field, for example. The words that I use, terminology that other people might not understand it. It's jargon to them. And so it's having to understand, okay, which words is actually, what's the jargon? How do I simplify or explain these words in other words, as well as simplifying the complex, let's say, methods of my study to an audience that may not understand otherwise. So communicating complex and technical information in a way accessible to non-experts was a huge challenge. And the other thing was just in general, the nature of research, I think, for me, was making sense of my study results.
Well, that is like a struggle for every grad student. Like, we will struggle at some, because you're so deep into it, right? And then you sort of like lost sight of what you're actually looking for in a way.
And sometimes they don't make sense, or you have so many results.
Yeah.
They don't have a clear trend, and you have to find that trend and then make a story out of it.
Oh,
and then
the worst. Like the worst.
Find that trend and make a story in your discussion, and then interpret it, and then link it to the implications.
Yes.
So that was the hard part, because I had a lot of different components of my study and results.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. You're like telling everyone my pain. Thanks. So, then how do you sort of learn, quote unquote, learn to write concisely then?
Practice. You gotta just keep doing it, or at least that's how I got better. I just had to just really sit there and ask myself, okay, what can I remove? What words can I remove to keep the same meaning? And then over time, with the feedback from my supervisor, he was a great supervisor, and he was great, and he was like expert at making everything concise. And so a lot of guidance from him. And over time, I kind of got the idea, like, okay, I can remove this, I can remove this. And the more I wrote, the more easier it got. So that was definitely practice. Helped with that.
And how about like simplifying your research? I still struggle with that, trying to convey my ideas in a simpler, quote unquote, simpler way. So how do you sort of work on that?
For that one, if it was writing, I would ask people not in my field to read it.
Hey, that's actually a good way.
Yeah.
I should probably start doing that too.
So that was helpful, because I had a mentor in my master's, and he was not in my field study, but he would help read over my work. And that was really, really helpful, because he would then ask me, oh, wait, what is this word? And so that would then let me know, okay, this is probably just specific to my field, and maybe I need to then reword it in a way so others can understand, oh, this is jargon, or rephrase certain things.
You mean mentor like supervisor, or?
Oh, sorry, this is like it's student. It's an upper year.
Oh, like
student.
A senior?
Senior, yes,
okay.
yes. So in our program, everyone got a mentor who was a upper year student.
Oh, that's nice. So it's like a
mentorship. Yes.
kind of way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I think we don't have that here in all of the graduate programs. No, we don't. Oh, that is sad. We're just here all alone, trying to figure out the hell of academia. Sweet Christ. But aside from that, what are some of the like commonalities that you might have noticed between writing in your discipline and your students' discipline? Because I know a lot of students who came in, they came from different departments. Like I have students from the art major, art history, and engineering. Now that was daunting, like tutoring them, but that was daunting. And how about you? Like what are some of the commonalities that you noticed?
I think effective writing in different disciplines should include those fundamental principles of effective communication. So I think that involves being clear in how you convey your ideas, being precise in the language that you use, and having clear and logical sentences, having flow, making sure you can help the readers follow along your argument or ideas, as well as having evidence-based arguments to support what you're claiming. And also it's important to consider who your audience is, who you're writing for, and then tailoring your writing to that audience is important to consider. And again, appropriate language use, I think, not using formal language, professional language, no disrespectful language, or just inappropriate,
Wait, disrespectful language, like what?
Just like profanity, I don't know. But like that's common. Like I didn't see that in any field, in any discipline. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about maintaining good flow. How do you work on that?
Well, in the beginning, as a whole, when I do my outline, I first structure it in a way.
Yes.
Yeah. So I first look at the big picture and then see how everything flows in that way. But when I'm actually writing, then I would choose words that then, for example, like conjunctions, to then link different ideas together. And of course, with flow, you can also use, first, second, third, and then furthermore, like those
those kind of things.
Or because of this, or therefore, like this is important because. And so instead of just writing different sentences and putting it together side by side, you just use connecting words and to see really how they link with each other.
And there's one phrase that I use, despite the fact that yada 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 yada.
Yeah.
With that being said, yada yada. So that's important. Yeah. But those are very important, people.
Yeah.
So with tutoring students from different disciplines. So basically we're doing interdisciplinary collaboration in a way. And it happens all the time. We can't just be one-trick pony. So how do this kind of collaboration might influence writing styles or writing conventions?
I think one would be, first of all, every discipline has their own terminology, writing style, writing convention. So I think when you work together then, it is maybe like there is a adaptation needed to maybe develop new terminology or adopt current jargon from different fields to facilitate communication, maybe also simplifying complex ideas to ensure clarity for an interdisciplinary audience.
Yeah.
And what else is there?
I feel like
there could be even blending of conventions.
Blending?
Yeah. Maybe some conventions, maybe for a certain discipline, there's a specific writing convention. Yeah. And then when you work together, maybe, you can adopt certain writing conventions into...
so it's like making a great cocktail.
I'm assuming that could be possible.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a nice analogy we got there. Making a nice cocktail. Blending things together. Okay. Like a fruit smoothie. Okay?
A smoothie.
A smoothie.
And through collaboration, maybe even innovation of new ways to communicate complex ideas through maybe visual aids or
I think
something that bridge the communication gap.
Yeah. Because I feel like with our current society right now, with everything being super multimodal, like we are using so many different linguistic or non-linguistic modes to communicate with people. I feel like visual aids or let's say images, moving pictures, whatever it is out there, they're all very useful in order to sort of facilitate, like what you said, effective communication. And people in academia, especially in research, we need to make good use of that. Because I know there are some journals out there that are using visual elements in their abstracts to make things even clearer for readers to read, which I think is amazing. Or they would just use bullet point. Because I'm not sure if you know about this, when people are reading, we only glance through certain words, the keywords. So they will only highlight the keywords in the bullet point, which I think is super useful if you really want to ensure effective communication. So then, with that being said, do you have any tips for, let's say, students or grad school students out there to improve their writing? Because I'm not sure if you know about this, NTNU and many other universities in Taiwan is somewhat transitioning into a bilingual university because of the bilingual policy. So basically, there are a lot of EMI courses in like English as a medium of instructions courses are now included in almost all of the departments, especially here in NTNU. So that's why students have to write term papers or proposals or thesis in English. Any tips for them to improve their writing?
Well, I think first to be familiarizing themselves with the specific writing conventions of their field.
Okay.
Because different fields may have different writing convention structures, language use, all that.
Yeah.
And the other is, I would say, read extensively.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah. Because you know how a lot of students, they just don't like to read. They just want to write. And then I feel like, then how do you know what you want to write if you don't read first?
I would say reading definitely, yes, important, because then you can also understand the type of writing and examples of, how authors are writing their arguments or how they're structuring their ideas and for effective communication. Yeah. And so I think that's really important. The more you read, the more you'll get an idea of, okay, this is how it should be done, or this is good writing.
And then somehow you can start to mimic the writing style.
I think, even passively, I think by reading more, you kind of, when you start to write, you're like, oh, okay, I think this is how.
Yeah. And then slowly you could develop your own writing style.
Like a guideline. And then, so aside from reading, then I would say, practice writing. That's key. Yeah. How to improve writing? You write. You just write more. Yeah. And I think writing and getting feedback. Getting feedback from your profs, if you have mentors. Also, CAL tutors, come to CAL.
Yes, advertisement time. Yes, please come to CAL and then book our sessions. Thank you. We are here to help you guys. You mentioned about writing. Just write. A lot of students tend to they're just overthinking it when it comes to writing. And then I always tell my students, just vomit your words.
Yes.
Just puke it out.
Yes. That's something was key.
No, I'm serious. Ilya is sitting at the back, our lovely assistant here. And he's just laughing, smiling, grinning, but seriously, vomiting things out. Well, not things out, like your words.
Vomiting.
Not vomiting things out. Vomit your words out first.
Yes, that is key. I also realized that, which reminds me, a struggle that I had before was I thought when I had to write, when I first started writing, even like high school, university, I thought every sentence had to be perfect.
No.
Or as in like, you know what I mean? Like I would edit every sentence as I went along. And I had to start from the beginning. So I thought you have to start from the beginning. But then I think over time, people were telling me, no, you don't have to start from the beginning. Yeah. And also, you can just go back and edit it. Just write everything out first. Write all your thoughts out. Yeah. Organize it after. Yeah. So that was a game changer for me.
Yes. Yeah. So people, vomit your words out. Listen to Siwen, okay? Please. And how about like some of the resources or tools that you would recommend?
I feel like right now there are a lot of tools available. I feel like
whole ton.
Yes, like aside from online resources, there's a lot of websites to tell you, guide you how to write academic, or even ChatGPT, honestly.
I think the most accessible one would be ChatGPT.
Yeah, I feel like for now, that's a good starting point. Yeah. For like a general feedback.
Yeah.
ChatGPT would be
But the thing is how to use ChatGPT. And for that, we will mention about the tips of using ChatGPT in our next episode. And also there's other AI tools like Jenny AI. Oh. I'm not sure if you've heard about it. It's like a new thing right now. It's super useful. It helps you to summarize the papers that you read so that you won't spend too much time reading those papers, and then you could structure arguments like having a conversation with the AI. Or like what this paper argue about, or what is the objective of this paper, and what's the research gap that you might see, blah, blah, blah. And then the AI could like talk to you about it in a way.
So they read it for you, kind of? Or?
Yeah, sort of. They read it for you, and then they help you structure your argument.
Interesting. I did not know that. I wish they had this during my master's.
I know, right? Like, I wish I had that back then so that I could graduate.
I know.
Jeez. So ChatGPT and other sources.
A lot of online websites, but also I think look into what your university has. So, for example, CAL. CAL is a great resource, I think. So again, I think looking into those writing centers, or of course resources in terms of your professors and peers who can help give you feedback, and also maybe writing softwares like Grammarly, installing those. Have you heard of that?
Yeah. We have that in the CAL computers, I think. Yeah. Grammarly.
There's a free version. I think it's decent for the free version. And of course, you can pay for the other.
The premium
is better, but I feel like at least the free one can still help. Yeah. And I think there may be other ones. I just don't recall what they were. And there are also online writing courses. I think there are some for free as well.
Yeah, in Coursera.
Yes,
in Coursera. Think so. They do have like technical writing courses offered by, I don't know, Purdue. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
A lot of resources.
Yeah, I think for students who are kind of like lost and not sure where to go first, make good use of the resources that you have in your university, guys. I mean, in NTNU case, it's CAL. And I know in NTU, they do have a great writing center. Just make good use of what you have around you. ChatGPT, your professor, your peers. Those are really, really great tips. And how about some of the strategies that you would use to adapt your writing style to different academic contexts? Because you mentioned writing for conferences. Now, that's one thing. And then writing for your thesis. Now, that's one thing. And writing term paper. Now, that's one thing.
Yeah.
So how do you adapt?
Well, first is to understand what those writing conventions are for each of those categories. And then tailoring my writing, maybe the tone or the language that I use, or the terminology, then for that style of writing. So if I'm going to a conference and there are people who are knowledgeable in my field, then I wouldn't have to spend time trying to simplify my complex ideas.
Yeah.
Because they would know it.
Yeah.
But if it's like just for a lay audience, then I would try to really simplify it. So then tailoring my language to my audience. And of course, for let's say journals, and different journals also have different conventions. So looking into what those guidelines are, because every journal has a list of guidelines to follow.
And I read the articles published in that journal.
Yes.
That's very important as well.
Yeah. And for, again, conferences as well, not every conference has the same conventions.
Yeah, they have different ones.
So they'll send you all the guidelines. So you just kind of follow along with that. So knowing the conventions as well as knowing who you're writing for, so the audience, so you know what kind of language to use and the tone to use.
Yes, exactly. I totally agree. Because if you know who your audiences are, then the writing process will come so much easier and so much. It will make your life easier, basically, if you know who your audiences are. So there you have it, guys. The some of the strategies that Siwen provided us. So before we end our lovely episode with Siwen today, I like to ask. I always give my guests this though, like lightning round questions. So are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. Submitting a research paper to journals.
Yeah.
And getting it published can be a very, very long and torturing process. What would you like to say to those reviewer number 2 who have made your revision process a living hell? I'm assuming you've gone through that, yeah?
Yeah.
Reviewer 2 or 3? 2.
That's probably 2, actually. It's always reviewer 2.
Okay. So what would you like to say to them? Now that you're on air. You're on air.
As frustrating as it is sometimes, having to wait for their comments and all that, I do also think it is necessary sometimes. Or I do appreciate.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Okay, there's 2 sides to this for sure. Okay. One side is, though, I feel like sometimes you need those harsh reviewers. Because you need to then, that helps you maintain the quality of research. So they're not just accepting any research paper into their journal. So now you know that all journals or articles that have been published have gone through this process. You know that they've gone through peer review and they are probably of high quality. And so I think sometimes necessary to have those like really harsh reviewers, although it is frustrating at times.
Yes.
And sometimes I wish it would be quicker. But I do still think, I appreciate all my reviewers.
Oh, how nice. Yeah. How nice. So for all the reviewers, in my case, for all the reviewer number 2, suck it. Suck it. No, I mean, I get it. I get why they give harsh reviews. Because they have to.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then what's the point? Right?
Then everyone just gets published.
But I wish everybody could get published. You know? I mean, I wish that everyone can just, get their works out there and then to be appreciated by different people. It's just, with publication it gets, how should I put it in a nice way? Like I said, it's a struggle and it's a torture. And as PhD students, we struggle the most in terms of that.
Right.
It's very painful. So you appreciate them. Okay, cool.
I understand the struggle, but I also understand the need for this process as well.
I feel like it's a rite of passage in academia somehow. So thank you for joining me today, Siwen. Thank you so much. I had a lovely time.
Me too.
Yeah, it was fun chatting. So basically today we covered quite a bit of things. Let's say writing conventions, and most importantly, how to facilitate effective communication, and also understanding your audiences. I think these are like the key points, right? So thank you all for tuning in, and thank you again, Siwen, and watch out for more spilling.